Uga Buga, my fellow Beras. Welcome to the first episode where Moose is covering the Berachain Ecosystem projects. Today I have the Yeet protocol and the chief Yeetard, Mr. Pemby, with me. Hey Pemby, how you doing?
Yo, Moose. Yeah, I'm
B
happy to be
Moose.
here, man, and thanks for having me.
No man, it's my pleasure to have you on. Super excited to learn more about Berachain as a whole and of course Yeetards, right? But before we go into that, could we hear a little bit about your background? I'm curious, what's your background, Mr. Pemberton?
Okay, so a bit of background on me. I'm a previous DeFi founder, founded a public good. It's actually still running. Um, I've also been a VC in crypto, and I've also been like a tokenomics and mechanism design advisor to many protocols in DeFi and crypto. And yeah, and have a history of using DeFi and farming and using a lot of primitives in DeFi.
Nice. I didn't know that you were in such a rich background. I believe a lot of people in the Berachain ecosystem are, including Berachain team themselves, but I don't think it's like a very public information.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that really drew us to Berachain as well, is that you have very competent people with very strong backgrounds, but who also don't take themselves too seriously. And yeah, and you can see that reflected in Yeet as well. And we felt, although there's like serious and interesting mechanisms under the hood with Yeet and what we're building, like the way we're going to market and branding it is, it doesn't take itself too seriously. So we felt there was a pretty good alignment there.
Yep, yep. Right. All right then. Before we get into what Yeet protocol is and the Yeetards, right? Just want to ask, like, why did you decide to build on Bera specifically?
So there's two main reasons. Number one was the proof of liquidity dynamics, which fascinated me at first, and I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. You can have gauge bribes and all these other DeFi primitives, enshrined in the chain, which opens up, different possibilities and different kind of incentives for the DeFi ecosystem that I think will emerge on Berachain. So that was number one, kind of mechanism stuff, and number two was also the community and the branding here and all that stuff. I felt it really aligned with what we're trying to do. I mean, we're called Yeetards, right? And yeah, we just love it. We love the memes and the pastas and everything in Berachain, and the community is awesome.
Awesome, love that. Right then, let's get into what Yeet is. Like, could you bring us through actually what Yeet protocol is? Like, what does it do? And yeah, let's hear it from you.
Yeah, of course. So the first thing we set out to build, which we have built and is live on testnet right now, is the Yeet Cup, the Yeet game itself. And this is a game. It's pretty interesting, and it's a game for idiots, which is why we love it. So what happens is, yeah, people deposit or they eat what we call it. They eat Bera into a prize pool, and the last person to make a eat into the pool wins the whole pool. So questions that come up here are like, how do you know who's the last person, right? Or I mean, it's not just every time someone makes a eat, it extends the timer till the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no back running or room for bots to come and abuse this system. And also the minimum amount that can be eaten increases like as a because it's a percentage of the total pool value. So you can't just have a bot eating dust until everyone dies and then winning the game. But still, the question remains: is like, why the hell should I play this? Why should I make an early eat? What I mean, it's just my incentive to try be the last person to make a eat, right? Why? How will this game get started in the first place? So we have an interesting tokenomic system here where you can farm and earn Yeet tokens just by eating Bera. So every day there's going to be, a predetermined number of Yeet tokens that are going to be emitted, and these are going to go solely to the players of the game, based on your volume. And emissions are higher at first, of course. So if me and you we made some Yeets today, at the end of the day, we both earn some tokens, right? And the amount of tokens we earn is dependent on our volume of eating throughout the past day. So therefore, even if I don't want to try win the game, I just want to farm a bunch of like the Yeet tokens themselves, right? So I can make money like that. I have an incentive just to Yeet early, and farm those tokens. And then when enough people, are smart and try play it that way, the prize pool is substantial enough that there exists a natural incentive to people come in and like make Yeets because they want to try actually win the prize pool. Because now, I don't know, there's 100 Bera or 1,000 Bera or whatever it is in there. And yeah, and so why? So if you're giving out your token just as a farming token like this, right? Won't people just dump it and the value goes to zero then? And then these incentives to make early Yeets don't exist anymore?
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that happened a lot in DeFi 1.0, right? With all these farming tokens and vegetable tokens and whatever. So what's happening here is that if you have the token itself, you can stake it for protocol revenue. And this revenue is coming from a tax that's incurred on all the Yeets, all the deposits. So 10% of every deposit is taxed, and 7% is going straight to the stakers. So if you make early Yeets, you earn the token, you stake it, you're making money of all the people that are playing later on in the game. So this means that there's no one way to make money. There's like multiple game theoretic strategies you can use here.
Right, got it. So just a few questions on my end, right? You mentioned that there's a set timer, right? Like what's the starting countdown timer from the first Yeet?
So it starts off at 72 hours, but every new Yeet, it resets the timer, but it resets it to a bit less time. So eventually it keeps going down and down till the point where every Yeet resets the timer to 1 hour. And at that point, it stops decreasing.
Gotcha. So and then when it's stuck at the 1 hour countdown and doesn't decrease, it would be a game of who has more Bera to continue eating because of the larger prize pool, right?
Yeah, so it's either who has more Bera or who doesn't sleep, right? Or who can psy up their opponent into saying, hey, I'm not going to give up, so you might as well stop now and stop wasting your Bera.
Right. Interesting. And I believe you guys are in testnet now already, right? And how long is like the longest game? Do you have stats on that? Just curious. Or like the shortest game, in fact.
So we've been live on testnet now for like a month or something, and we've
Mhm.
experimented with different timings for the games. At first, the minimum time reset used to be 20 minutes. And when it was 20 minutes, we used to see much faster games. At times, we'd see 2 games happening in 24 hours, right? Just because, I don't know, maybe enough people aren't on the website or on the app or know about it. But when we increased the minimum time to 1 hour, this game gave room for a lot of people who are just like going onto the website or the app and seeing there's an active game going on, and they want to eat more because they see there's already something in the prize pool. So the longest game has spanned like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, I believe.
Man, that's pretty long. Imagine eating and then coming back the next week and the game is still ongoing.
Yeah, exactly. So we've had people in the Discord saying, hey, they set up alarms to wake up in the night to make sure
Man,
nobody out eated them and all these kind of things.
this is like, I don't know, the DeFi summer days when you set alarms to ape stuff or claim rewards.
Yeah,
Man,
exactly.
memories. Right, and then so
Yeah.
you mentioned being the early eater or like the early depositors get the benefit because you are taking a cut from the tax of those who are eating after me, right?
Yep.
Gotcha. And that's kind of distributed when the whole game ends, is that right? Or do you have to like claim them or have you guys fixed out that part yet? Just curious.
Yeah, no. So all the rewards you get are streamed immediately every time someone makes a yeet. So if I'm staking and you make a yeet right now, I immediately receive my cut of the rewards. I don't have to wait for the game to end to claim that Bera.
Oh, nice. So in some sense, a strategy could be eating early and then collecting the Bera to be able to eat for kind of, I quote, free later on.
Yeah, absolutely. There's many different things you can do here.
Nice. I mean, that's super interesting. I didn't know there were so many mechanics to yeet, right? Like I thought it was just clicking the yeet button and just waiting and thinking whether I want to ape more to kind of win the whole prize pool.
Yeah, I mean, once we dig into it, it can get kind of complex on the lower level. But still, we want to make sure it's still accessible and fun to people. Originally, Yeet started out as something like way more complex, actually. But then speaking to people about it, we realized, hey, that realistically, no one's going to understand this and play this, maybe like 15 degens. So we wanted to make it a bit easier to explain and communicate, so that more people would play, and I think that's paid off.
Right, right. And of course, then you mentioned that the value of the Yeet token itself is the revenue share that we'll get from staking it, right? Are you able to share
Yeah.
like the percentage of the total revenue to be shared with the stakers?
So so the revenue, so 10% of every single Yeet is taxed.
Mm-hmm.
7% of every Yeet is going directly to the Yeet stakers. 2% is going to public goods funding on Berachain, actually with a partnership we have with Bera Infinity, which will be like the Gitcoin of Berachain. And 1% of every Yeet will be added to the liquidity pool.
Gotcha, gotcha. So then the liquidity pool should be really, really, really thick over time.
Yes, ideally. And the reason why it's so important also the liquidity here stays thick is because the Yeet token itself has to have value.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the incentives to come and Yeet will also have value. If it's in a liquid shitcoin, right, which you can't even sell, then there's no incentive. Oh yeah, so we have really built on that, and we've constructed something called the liquidity trifecta as
Mm-hmm.
well with Kodiak and Beradrome, where this Yeet pool, the Yeet Bera pool on Kodiak, will receive lots of incentives, both from us and from different partners, which means it's going to be a very attractive pool to farm. So this means, number one, that the pool is going to be very liquid. And number two, it means that there's going to be lots of other demand also for the ETH token, not necessarily to stake it and make Bera revenue from the game, but also because you can buy it and then start farming it as well for a lot of rewards.
Sorry, just to clarify, we could use the Yeet tokens to farm for, let's say, was it infrared or Kodiak tokens?
Yep. So well, some stuff hasn't been publicly announced yet, but
Okay, gotcha.
by LPing the Yeet Bera pool, you'll receive like LPs there will be receiving like 3 or 4 different tokens
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha,
essentially.
gotcha.
And so yeah, so the trifecta is like this complex liquidity strategy that we've built with our partners, and that I feel is also becoming one of our main products here. Is because we're building lots of these like these farming or liquidity strategies with partners. So we have one with Kodiak and Beradrome. We call the liquidity trifecta. We have one with Beraborrow as well. We're informally calling the Yeetaborrow flywheel. And yeah, it just means that it will be very liquid. It'll have lots of incentives to LP it, and so ultimately this becomes like we've created different farming products as well, and that's also some of the direction I see it going in, where it's not just this game, but potentially different things we could build to automate some of these strategies, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like the game itself is more of those who feel like the degen gamblers, who wants to ape for that pool of Bera token, and then the farmers could also use it to kind of farm other protocols tokens by staking it and LPing it. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. So we see this in a lot of like more complex DeFi protocols, right, where they set up pretty sophisticated liquidity strategies also around the token. So this is also what we're creating around the ETH protocol as well.
Gotcha. And then on the staking end, like let's say if I stake the Yeet token, what can I do with the staked Yeet? Like could I lend it out somewhere to borrow against it? Could I put it in an LP to continue farming for rewards, or are you able to talk more about that on that end as well?
No, so we don't really want to allow people to rehypothecate their staked ETH
Mm-hmm.
for 2 reasons. Number one is that if you can rehypothecate your staked ETH, it means everyone has an incentive to stake, right, and then go farm that. So if that happens, if everyone's staking, it's diluting the rewards of everyone. So we don't want necessarily the farmers to dilute the rewards of the game stakers who aren't necessarily super DeFi savvy and aren't, you know, super comfortable LPing stuff and just want a single-sided stake, earn some Bera, and that's it. So
Mm-hmm.
we want to max revenue to these guys. I mean, eventually the market will end up like arbing the revenue from both strategies in theory, right? Um, but yeah, so that's reason number one, to not dilute the rewards too much and still have it like profitable for stakers. And number two is because we have a specific unstaking mechanism where when you unstake, you have to wait 10 days. But if you don't want to
Okay.
wait 10 days, you can pay like an early rage quit fee, right? And this is a variable fee. It starts at 50% on day one and decreases 5% every day until it's 0% on day 10, and you can unstake with no fees. So because of this unstaking mechanic, this means that if you want to borrow against your staked heat position or something, it makes liquidations and that kind of thing much more tricky.
Mm, got it.
Uh, yeah, and we feel the value the protocol can gain from having this unstaking mechanic outweighs the benefit of allowing people to rehypothecate and everything. So it's for those two reasons, to not dilute the revenue of the stakers, and because we want to have this unstaking mechanism, which would make the token deflationary as well. Because if people want to pay the fees to unstake early, then they burn some of the token.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Right. And I believe the tokenomics are not out as of yet, right? Or like the emission schedule or this. Would you be sharing this further down the line, or are you open to sharing it right now?
So correct, they're not public yet, and of course, like, but it all will be public before mainnet launch.
Got it. Awesome. And yeah, so of course the next thing would then be, oh sorry, before I go on to the next point, I think is there anything else you want to touch on for the Yeet game mechanics and tokenomics?
Um, yeah, just maybe a quick point on why a lot of this stuff isn't public yet. Number one is because we're still running some simulations to find like the most effective curves and
Mm-hmm.
emission schedule we want to use. And number two is because like it's the same reason we haven't made a lot of our contracts public yet, is because this is a novel protocol we've built and we don't want low effort forks like front running us and deploying on base on other chains before we get to launch on Berachain mainnet.
Gotcha, gotcha. Understood. All right, then moving on to the Yeetards, which is the NFT collection, right? You guys just minted it, I think, a few weeks ago, and I mean it's been a great mint in my opinion, right? I saw you guys did some reflection article as well, and of course, some people were burning it for just for the sake of it to reduce the supply. I think that was pretty funny. Yeah, do you want to
Yeah.
share more about your NFT collection?
Yeah, for sure. So the Yeetard NFTs are something we've really been enjoying. The reason we launched them is because we feel it's a good go to market to help build community. Also because it's a mechanism through which, or a tool through which we can distribute a lot of the initial supply of our tokens, right? Wink, wink. And number three, also because our artist on the team is he's cracked as hell. So we want to leverage the strengths we have on our Yeetard team.
Mm-hmm. And what's the total supply of the collection?
So because people keep burning, the supply keeps going down. Right now, the supply is 5,544.
Right, and what was the initial plan amount?
So the initial planned amount was 6,969. But we, the treasury, burned a bunch of them, and then
Mm-hmm.
people have just kept burning some of them just for the lols, just because it's funny.
Yeah, I think that was pretty funny when I saw that. Yeah, so you hinted at a token distribution for holding the NFTs. Would you be able to share more on that end as well?
Well, I don't know how much more I can say there. I mean, if you if you hold our NFTs, you'll get some surprises. And what's interesting here is that via our partnerships, you won't just get surprises from Yeet, but you'll also get surprises from many other of our partner protocols.
Would you be able to list some of them?
Well, you might get some nothing from Beradoge. You might get some nothing from Baramonium. You might get some nothing from two or three other protocols.
Gotcha, gotcha. And for those who are not sure of the Yeetards NFT, you can just search them up on OpenSea. It's on the Arbitrum chain, and I think floor looks pretty okay actually. It's a reasonable entry price, I would say.
I mean, so look, obviously I'm biased, right? But what we've done with our Yeetard NFTs is I think we've really made them a pretty good Berachain ecosystem perks aggregator. So another example of this would be the honeycomb NFTs, but
Mm-hmm.
some people may be priced out of those. You know, they're like zero point 0.3 ETH now.
Yep.
It's not so easy to get a bunch of those. So one of our strengths is really our partnerships and how we communicate with other protocols in the ecosystem. And we've managed to drive so much value to our NFTs, both through all these surprises, right, but also utility with other Berachain ecosystem protocols, like for example in Goldieland, which will be a lending market for NFTs. By Goldilocks, you'll get reduced borrowing rates with our NFTs, and you'll also get boosted yield of their own coin. If you hold our NFTs, you'll also get certain perks within games, and that kind of thing, just by holding our NFTs. And we have people reach, and because at this point we're quite well positioned within the ecosystem, we have lots of projects reaching out to us all the time, wanting to offer our holders, whitelists or certain other perks.
Right, and I mean the Discord as well, right? So I think the most recent whitelist you guys have given out was for Berachain, right?
Yes.
Yep. So I mean, not a shield, not any financial advice here, but definitely would urge you guys to take a look at the Yeetards NFT.
No, I would say like don't look at it and run as far as you can in the opposite direction.
No, by the way, I see some really interesting traits on the NFTs, right? Just out of my curiosity and maybe for the listeners out there, does rarity or any traits matter? Or is it going to be an equal distribution?
It will probably matter.
Interesting. That's the alpha right there, guys. All right, then now I want to move on to your testnet progress, right? You mentioned it's been live for about a month, and the longest game was like about 3-4 days you mentioned earlier. So like what about the other stats? Right? How many games have been played? How many active users are there? Would you be able to shed some light on that?
Sure. So we've had two different deployments on testnet so far. On our first deployment, we had about 700 unique addresses interacting with the contracts. We also had like a gross yeeting volume of over 55,000 testnet Bera. And to put that into perspective, people are grinding the faucet every day for like zero point 0.1 testnet Bera. So honestly, we were really happy with these stats. We think they've done extremely well. But we haven't actually run any data analysis on our second deployment yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think actually it's even picked up steam, judging by kind of the social activity around the game and some of the social features we've also shipped. And they're in beta right now, but will be fully shipped probably by the time this recording is live. But yeah, the API is a bit difficult to wrangle with, so we'll have more sophisticated data soon. So sorry, that's a very long-winded answer to say sorry. We don't have like exact numbers right now for the latest deployment.
Got it. Yeah, no worries. And what can we expect next from Yeet, or like what else is planned in the roadmap?
All right. So firstly, we're gonna ship the greatest thermonuclear gigaponzi you've ever seen on Berachain mainnet, which we're super excited about. We're gonna keep driving more utility and benefits to our Yeetard NFT holders, and we are also going to keep constructing a lot of these liquidity flywheels with our partners and some of these farming products essentially. What they're coming. It's one of our strengths internally as well. And we're talking to a lot of protocols about these things, and some protocols now are reaching out because they see we have the ability to construct these flywheels. And beyond that, we're also exploring other kinds of products we can build for the DeFi ecosystem on Berachain, where we can utilize the same branding and allow people to yeet into different things, like yeeting into other Berachain protocols, and what that looks like, and how you would do that. So also a bit of a non-answer here, but there will be more stuff coming from Yeet. yeah, and some more DeFi products.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I just want to ask a bit on the team. Like, how big is the team right now, right? You mentioned you have a few people here and there doing different roles.
Yeah, so we're 5 people currently.
Nice. And would you be able to break that down?
Okay, sure. So there's me. I am the chief Yeetard. I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of the strategy, the mechanism design. I take lead on all the kind of DeFi strategies we build, and run a lot of the ops and growth. My co-founder is the CTO. He used to be the tech lead for a fleet of self-driving vehicles, and has also been dabbling in DeFi for a while, doing small hackathon projects and contributing to some bigger protocols. We have contributors in our Discord who help out. We have a UX designer who used to do UX at a tier one crypto wallet that you'll definitely have heard of, and at big crypto conglomerates as well in CeFi. And we also have our artist, Pepe Jones, who you can see on Twitter, who produces all our amazing graphics and did all the art for the Yeetard NFTs. And he's just yeeted as hell.
Gotcha. Sounds like a really solid team right there.
Yeah, we hope so. Pretty
All right.
retarded though.
Man, this is I think this is the most serious I've heard you speak ever since I joined your Discord and follow your Twitter page.
Yeah. So usually, like for the podcast, we save more of the serious stuff. But I mean, ultimately, we just have a lot of fun building it, and we just mess around. And that's what I feel also helps us do well, because people like that. They don't care about just some other asshole saying "Rah, rah, 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 rah," whatever. Some
Yeah,
math. People just, we like the memes. We have fun. And I think that's what's really helped us build up the crazy community we already have, which is kind of a cult at this point. People have tattoos. We have literally over 100 videos of people yeeting things out of
oh
windows,
man,
smashing eggs on their heads. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
it is ridiculous, but it's nice to hear you being serious once in a while and then going back to the Yeetard itself, right? I enjoy having the balance there. So thank you for coming on today, right? Just one final question from me. Are you guys planning to go live on day one when Berachain mainnet launches?
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
Awesome.
Right now we're tweaking final. I mean, we've already been live for a month, so we've had the chance. We wanted to launch early to give ourselves like the chance to tweak a lot of the mechanics. Ultimately, even if we run simulations, it's all just assumptions. We want to see how people behave, and fix stuff in the UX, in the contracts. I think we're getting pretty solid there now. We're running audits at the moment, also running some simulations on the token economics. Yeah, so the way it's shaping up, I think we'll be ready to launch day one.
Awesome. Love to hear it. And for
Yeah.
those who are not yet familiar with the Yeet protocol, where can they check you out?
So you can look us up on Twitter. The name is Yeet Cup, and the handle is Eat Sleep Yeet. I'm Lord Pemberton Squigglebop, the Chief Yeetard. On Twitter, I'm Lord Pemby. And if you go on our website, our app, if you want to go yeet away your precious testnet Bera, is yeeted.xyz. That's yeetit.xyz. And on there, you'll find links to Discord and all the other places where all the other mouth breathing Yeetards hang out.
Yep. And to help you guys save some time, I'm actually just gonna link them out down below in the description box. So do check them out. And thanks, Pemberton, for taking the time to come on. Before we go off, is there anything else that we might have missed that you want to cover?
Yes, I would really like to say yeet, yeet, yeet.
Awesome. Love it. All right, guys. Do check out the Yeet protocol, Isleep Yeet on Twitter. I'll link it down below. And of course, comment down below which other protocols in Berachain ecosystem that you would like me to cover next. Do you
Yeah, and
have
don't
any?
forget to yeet all over the comments. Just go yeet, yeet, yeet.
All right. Thank you once again, and we will see you in the next episode.